the third bestest carp rig in the whole wide world then, folks, and the third one in the series, and it's all about margin fishing. Amazing. Obviously when the great big wobbly things rock up and you see them start waving at you, it's so good. But you've definitely got to do things right plumbing, right rigs and that, which we'll go through. So when you've caught like 100 pound shallow, and then you've come on like your short line and caught a steady like 80-90 pound there, and then you see them waving at you down the edge, and you can get ready to catch another 200-300 pound down there. Yes, we're getting ready for it. First things first, again, elastic wise, I'm sticking with my 15s Jura, simply because when you wallop into these great big fish down the edge, yeah, you don't want loads of commotion, which you get off a heavy elastic. All that's doing is sort of like, it's just ruining your peg in effect, and that it's kicking all the debris up and everything like that. Could settle over where you're fishing, and you don't want it, so you just want to lift into the fish and let them glide out your peg. You don't want to make loads of commotion. So 15s Jura, first things first. Again, nice, robust. We've used it on all three so far. 0.20 mainline. Again, this is an area where you could potentially go even heavier, depending on what you're fishing up against, you know, whether it be snags or size of the fish, things like that will dictate obviously what lines you're using. But 0.20 as a rule will do you for absolutely everything. This bit here, this is the only time, folks, that I'd ever come that little bit shorter with my distance from my pole tip to my float, because the wind's not going to necessarily affect you as much. Certainly if you're fishing shorter. Obviously where I'm fishing today, I'm going to fish a little bit longer out of my peg, because these big, wise, crafty carp, they do like to sort of like sit back away from you. Don't get me wrong, at some point in the day, certainly pleasure fishing wise, you're going to catch them short, even right in front of you, folks, on the top kit. But match conditions, I do like if you're allowed to get to the spare peg. Right, so, don't fly on me then. Again, back shots as a must on all my rigs, other than my shallow rigs. 2 number 8s, this bit here, getting on that them reshards. So we've got a proper edge float. Preston edge floats, they're brilliant. So robust, so durable. Line's going straight the way through the body, so you don't ever have to worry about, you know, your eye getting ripped out or anything like that by catching these great big wobbly ones. Nice, stable glass stem, just so that float basically sits there. And it's so important that, you're using heavy floats. Like we did on the short line, the 6 metre one, 414s minimum, up to 416s, or in grams terms, 0.4s and 0.5s. So important for keeping that bait nice and stable. Because like obviously the size of these fish, when they wobble into your peg, see the bait, you know what I mean, they're wafting the fins. If you're on too light a float, it's going to be going all over the place and you're going to be striking at wrong bites. It's so important you do strike at the right bites, which is what heavier floats will give you. I'm coming down the rig now. We're going to go through plumbing up shortly, but I'll set my rigs at 2 foot and then go and find it. Basically, I want to get as tight into the banking as I can, but I'm not overly worried about it. Where are we now? Like really early May. I'm not overly worried about it this time of year. Certainly heights of summer, I want to get as tight into the banking as I can so that the fish can't undercut you. But with the water still being that little bit cold, and obviously the bright sunshine out, it will affect. So I've always found 2 foot is a good starting guide. So obviously the beauty of pre-marked, you know, top kits, put your rig to 2 foot, go and find it, which is what we're going to do. Now coming down the rig, again, pretty much identical, hook length wise and everything material we'll come on to. Shots, again, these are number 8 shots, pinch, so I've just got like a fingernail in between each one so that the line can run true straight the way all through it. Sometimes, certainly when using stots, and I suppose you could get away with using stots for this in that you're only on a little babby bulk, you don't need your shot spread or anything like that. But what I do like is that little gap in between them, the little mill gap. And if you're just clumping all them stots together, it'll sort of like kink out into a bit of a C shape, which can affect presentation. So just go with shots, folks, they're miles better. So just above the hook length. And because we're fishing in 2 foot, that's why I've got a 4-inch hook length on. Again, folks, you know me by now. Straight out of the packet, 0.17 XSH, size 14 hook. Because I'll briefly touch upon baits. It's pretty much exclusively going to be ground bait, obviously if it's allowed. If not, it's going to be like really overwetted micros that I'm going to feed down the edge, and then it's whatever hook bait tickles your fancy. Cheeky, over the top. Personally for me, it's going to be corn because it detracts the attention of the little babby fish. But you know, bunches of maggots, worms, things like that, whatever you want. There's no right and wrong with it, whatever you've got confidence in. So that's why I do like to use quite a big hook. So a nice strong 14s XSH hook is perfect. 4-inch hook length. When would I go shorter than that? When it's shallow water. So this up to sort of like maybe 17, 18 inches, and then I go to a 3-inch hook length down to, well, whatever depth really. But for this, finding 2 foot, 4-inch hook length, absolutely perfect. So without further ado, I'm going to put plummet on and show you what we're looking for, because before we even get there plumbing, I'm not bothered if I'm on a slope. For me, I think that's a good thing. When you're hooking these fish on a slope, your bait's naturally going to roll away, so that when you're fishing again, you're sneaking that bait in. You're fishing clean every time, if that makes sense. Yeah, you know, it's great if you're on a flat bottom, but don't let a slope put you off. So let's stick a plummet on and show you what we're looking for. Right, plummet's on then, folks. Let's go and find the depth. Remember, we put it to 2 foot, we're going to go and find it. What we're looking for is, obviously, it's not going to affect me, or not going to bother me, should I say, if I'm on a slope. Ideally, I want it flattish, but it wouldn't bother me whatsoever if I was on a slope. Let's go and have a see what that bottom's like down there. Now, I do want to be a little bit over depth when I'm fishing, but initially, as I say, we'll put it to 2 foot. Let's go and see what's what. So first things first, I've got my marker, which is level with a graphic on my box at the bottom there. Under my elbow, level with that. First things first, because it's so important that you are in your markers. So I'm going to show you what we're dealing with. So if you see where we're plumbing up there, yeah, our float, it's a full float out of the water. I'll just literally come about 1 inch to the left, how it's just disappearing, yeah? So falling down that slope. Very, very steep that. I wouldn't necessarily want to be on something that steep, to be honest with you, yeah? But giving you another idea of what it's like, that bottom, just comes slightly out, see dead depth there, just coming out inch intervals, see it's just ever so slightly, gradually, just sloping away from us. So what I want to find is, see there, that's about what, 1 metre out from the bank, and that's dropped right off, probably dropped about a good 16 inches off. So that's like the shallowest bit, which was there. I want to be just coming down about there. So if I plumb up over a sort of like 2 inch distance there, you see I've got it nice and flattish. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, folks, yeah, so important. So obviously I've got my marker on my pole and my box on here. What I'll do next is pick a marker on the far bank, so I know I'm going back to that same spot every single time. Now all I've got to do on that, because obviously I wouldn't fish like that, I'd literally put sort of like a couple of inches on it, 1.5 inches maybe, so I'm at the bottom of the body of that float. And then for me, that is sitting absolutely perfect. What I'll be doing with the rig, laying the rig out, putting my bait in and just drawing my float from my float up and over my bait. And then it's sitting, being nice and patient, getting ready, and then wallop time. It's like, honestly, one of the best ways of fishing. Sort of like the later stages of your session or your match, you can't ignore the edges. And I'll be doing the exact same thing on that side as well. Left and right, with the size of the fish, catch on one side, feed it, go and have a go on the other side. You usually find one side's better than the other, but you've got to rest it, get them big fish nice and confident again before you can go and extract them. Get on it, folks. Hope you've enjoyed it. You'll catch so many fish if you follow them tips. Yeah.
Right, you lads, very, very sorry to interrupt your video watching.
How dare you?
Quickly, if you haven't already noticed, we have managed to write a book, haven't we?
Yes, we have,
Which
Jamie.
is full of all our very bestest methods and features or whatever else we do on this wonderful subject of fishing. So if you haven't had a look already, go and have a look at winningways.shop and buy one for yourself.